There's already a band called Nirvana the band?
No, it's only part of our name.
What part? What do you mean?
There's already a band called The Band.
Hi. Hello. It's been a while. How are you? It's nice to be here. I recently saw a movie in theaters, a comedy, and it was the best comedy I've seen in such a long time that I think I simply had to come out of my little retirement to talk about it here today. So it's nice to be here. I'm talking, of course, about Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. The comedy world is just sort of buzzing talking about this movie right now, and there's a good reason why. When I went to go see it, I didn't know a single thing about it, but it truly is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And it was one of those viewing experiences where the second it was over, I wanted to see it again, right? It really captivated me. And I've seen it like 5 times now, but who's counting? Here's what I'll say. I laughed more than I've laughed in a theater in a really long time. But more than that, I felt a sense of wonder, like a sort of childlike magic wonder that I haven't felt in the movies in, I don't know, a decade. Also, by the end of the movie, I cared really deeply about the characters and their journey and their love for each other. It really resonated with me, and I was thinking about it for days and days after the movie ended. So, good jokes, moments of wonder, and resonance. That's a lot for a comedy movie to pull off. Those are 3 really difficult things, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And it's pretty nuts that they were able to accomplish all of that once you realize how this movie was made, especially considering how much of this movie was improvised. To start, it's an adaptation, an extension of a Canadian TV show called Nirvana, the band, the show, which basically is about 2 friends, Matt and Jay, played by Matt Johnson, actor-director, and Jay McCarroll. They're best friends. They're in a band called Nirvana the Band, and all they want in the world is to play a show at the Rivoli. Now, as an ignorant American, I'd never heard of the Rivoli, and for a while I assumed it was like a Carnegie Hall type thing, but no, it's just like their neighborhood venue, which is kind of amazing. The show has a real sort of like Pinky and the Brain, kind of Wile E. Coyote. Every episode is them trying a new scheme in order to play a show at the Rivoli.
Okay, give me a countdown.
I don't know, 3, 2, 1, go?
Of course, the schemes always go terribly wrong. It wouldn't be any fun if they succeeded now, would it? Right? It's about failure, as so many good television shows are.
It's one of those days where you just get depressed because you realize everything you've wanted has slipped out of your fingers.
You know, are they even a band? Do we ever actually see them playing full songs? No, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, you kind of get the sense that the Rivoli would let them do a show if they went about it in a like normal way. But in their minds, it's this like mythic, impossible, wonderful thing. You know, like 2 kids in a trench coat trying to sneak into an R-rated movie vibes.
No, guys.
Nobody's looking.
Let's stop, catch our breath.
Come on!
What the f*** are you doing?
Okay, are you coming or no?
Now, the show isn't scripted per se, and neither is the movie. Kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, they work from an outline. They have general ideas of what they want to happen and how the stories are going to go. But unlike Curb, what makes this show sort of unpredictable is that sometimes they're doing scenes with actors, and then sometimes Matt and Jay are just out in the world. They interact with civilians and pedestrians just around Toronto.
Am I holding a banana?
Yes, that is a banana.
No, wait, I can explain.
They shoot with these long wildlife lenses so that they can kind of get away with that sort of thing in public. Matt Johnson, who also directed Blackberry, used the same lenses for Blackberry. And there's an interview with Jay Baruchel where he was like, half the time I didn't even know where the camera was. Like, it's so far away. Yeah, there's like this public chaos energy, and there is a sort of ask for forgiveness, not permission thing about the show. But it's important to remember that it's not Borat, it's not Jackass, it's still very Canadian, optimistic and kind of harmless, right? Like, it's mayhem, but it's like Canadian mayhem. You know what I mean?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
But none of the like technical brilliance and hard work of that show would work without Jay and Matt. Their friendship, their emotional core. They've been friends for 20 years. And that chemistry shines through. It's really special. So let's go through the movie. I'm gonna spoil it to high hell, so I really suggest you see it first. And we're gonna talk about some of the behind the scenes, oh my god, how did they do that moments? Because there are a lot of them in this movie. So much wonder. We're gonna talk about some of the jokes, and then we're gonna talk about the effective storytelling structure. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit about what young comedians and what filmmakers can learn from this sort of Nirvana the band, Matt Johnson school of filmmaking. Again, big spoilers ahead. I saw this movie blind, and I would hate to take away the opportunity for somebody else to see this movie blind. I think I care more about you watching this movie than you watching my little video here, so be warned. Okay, that's all. Let's get started. The movie opens with footage from the web series from way back in 2007, 2008.
For we are Nirvana the band, and you are about to be sent to the moon.
And we see Matt and Jay scheming about how to get a show at the Rivoli. And we see a little bit of their plan. It's really fun and it's really bombastic.
Why does a club book a band?
They play good music?
No.
Draw on a good crowd?
No.
Okay.
Flyers.
Matt turns to Jay and he says, you know, Jay, I think everything's going to work out for us. And then, boom, snap, 17 years later. Matt and Jay are still doing it. They're still exactly the same, except for a few wrinkles. And we're watching them still try to figure out how to get a show at the Rivoli. Amazing. If you're familiar with the hero's journey plot structure, this is their ordinary world, right? This is where we're beginning. This is them in their lives. This is what it all looks like. And Matt has an idea, just like he's been having for 17 years, but this time it's going to work. And this idea, he writes it on the whiteboard, is called the 7th inning skydive. Yeah, their big idea is, how about this? We'll go up the CN Tower and we'll skydive off the top of the CN Tower into the Blue Jays baseball stadium, and we'll do like a big stunt. If you're not familiar with Toronto, which I wasn't, the Blue Jays stadium is called the Sky Dome, and it's like right in the shadow of the CN Tower. So it's a perfect plan, no notes. I don't see why this wouldn't work. Brilliant. There's also a joke around here where Matt has a bottle of Orbits, which is this strange Canadian novelty drink from the 90s. And he uses the bottle as a microphone as he kind of works through his idea. A bolt of lightning in every bottle. There's so much Canadian IP and Canadian pride in Matt Johnson's work. It's kind of cute. I mean, he did make the Blackberry movie after all, which is like the Canadian product. Perfect plan, no notes. Skydive and parachute from the CN Tower into the Sky Dome. I love it. I don't really know what it has to do with the Rivoli, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure these boys will figure it out. So we get this great opening credit sequence where they go and they get their parachutes and they're like walking around Toronto and there's fun music playing and they stop at a store to get pliers so they can cut the safety cable and skydive from the top. And this is the first moment where we see them interacting with a real person. The guy at the store where they're buying the pliers, they tell him about their plan and he tries to talk them out of it.
Would snippers like this, would they be able to cut through like a kind of harness?
No, what are you trying to do though? That's my question.
He's a good person. He's like, this is a really bad idea. And it's very sweet. He is super sweet. And they actually invited him to the Toronto International Film Festival screening. He was like on the red carpet, which makes me so happy. They get their pliers, they got their parachutes, and their parachutes are on like under their coats. And they have pliers in their pocket. And as an American, I see them walking towards the security gate thing at the base of CN Tower. And I'm like, oh, okay, so they're going to get stopped. They're going to get thrown out. They'll probably cut to a scene where they've built like a fake back door that Matt and Jay will sneak into or something. Nope. The security lets them up. And this is real. This is where I really lost my mind. Like, they have pliers, they have parachutes, they're being followed by a cameraman and probably something of a crew. I know you have long lenses, Matt Johnson, but you can't be that inconspicuous, can you? Are there laws in Canada? What happens up there? Can you just do whatever you want in Canada? Anyway, Now, I didn't know about this because I'm an ignorant American, but at the top of the CN Tower, there's this thing called the Edge Walk where you put on like a red jumpsuit apparatus. A red jumpsuit apparatus, and you walk around the top of the CN Tower, which is kind of nuts. I think it's like 16 stories up into the air. I'm good. Have fun. No, thank you. Hard pass from me, dog. And then you see footage of Matt Johnson taking the pliers out of his pocket and cutting his safety harness and cutting Jay's safety harness. And then he pushes Jay and he jumps off the CN Tower. The audio cuts in and out from the wind as they dive down into the Sky Dome. And this is where, as an audience member, seeing this the first time, I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Now, it's 2026. We've all seen plenty of CGI. We've all seen entire movies of CGI, like from Gollum to Jar Jar Binks to those weird live action Lion King movies. I know that computers can make things that aren't real and make them look real. But there's something about this movie and the way that it looks so janky and so lo-fi that seeing something that incredible, my brain can't process it. It really feels like a magic trick, and it made me just so excited. And I felt like I was on a roller coaster. I was like, what are they doing and how are they doing this? It's that juxtaposition that just, it's brilliant. Is 116 stories way too low, by the way, to skydive? I don't know anything about skydiving, but that doesn't feel right to me. Anyway, they open up their parachutes and they're parachuting down. Is this the motion of a parachute or is it more like this? I don't know. They're parachuting down. But then, oh no, the weather has started to turn, and the clouds have started to form, and it looks like it's going to rain. And so the Sky Dome has this retractable roof over the baseball diamond, I guess, for days of inclement weather. It is Toronto after all. I'm sure there are times where it's really cold. Anyway, the roof starts to close, and the guys just barely miss it, and they land on the roof and they're like, damn, we almost made it. And I have to say, this plan has worked amazingly well so far. It's, considering how stupid the plan is, it's incredible. They should be proud, but they just start to bicker and they're mad that it didn't work. And like always, Matt's plan has again failed.
Oh my God! It's closed! Yeah, we didn't even make it in time!
And then you get this amazing shot. It cuts to Matt and Jay looking more like cartoon characters than ever, all dejected, holding their like open parachute in their arms, and they're thanking the fire department guys. And they're like, yeah, sorry. Again, I love that it seems like there's no laws or no repercussions for any actions in Canada. It's so amazing. I don't know how they got this footage or what they told the fire department. I don't know. But it's amazing. And I love that I'm left to wonder what happened between them landing on the roof and them like dejectedly shaking a firefighter's hand. I love that I get to imagine like who called the fire department and how they got them off the roof. It's great. And again, it makes Canada seem like a strange, lawless place where you get a slap on the wrist for something like that. And this sad song is playing as they throw their parachutes in the dumpster and they walk home in the rain. These poor little guys. Also, like, it starts to thunderstorm. Not just rain, but thunderstorm. And a bolt of lightning hits the CN Tower.
What'd you have to do to score that? Do you see that?
This whole segment, like, it's deeply cinematic. Like, it's a huge stunt. It's so much wonder. Like, I was so leaned forward in my seat. I was really blown away. But it also does something really cool for the movie, which is it kind of tells the viewer anything can happen, right? If you see that in Act 1, what the hell is going to happen in Acts 2 and 3? So they go home, their plan having failed, and Matt is already trying to think up another plan. He's not ready to quit. And he makes this joke about how, this is proof that we don't ever figure out time travel, because this would have been the first thing that we would have fixed if time travel were real, because dang, we just barely missed it, blah, blah, blah. And that gives him this idea where he's like, oh.
Bird, I got an idea.
Forget an idea, I think I figured it out. Listen to this. Time machine plan.
Maybe we go to the Rivoli and we tell them that we're from the future. And they have to give us a show. And we say like, you have to give us a show. The fate of the future depends on it, blah, blah, blah. But Jay doesn't really want to hear it. He's tired. He's feeling disillusioned. Matt tries to cheer him up. He like shoots him with like a toy gun, which apparently is one of their favorite games. Jay like slinks upstairs and Matt gets started on this like time machine idea that he has. And it sort of feels like a kind of refusal of the call. You know, the first plan didn't work. And they don't know what they're going to do, and there's this sort of moment of what's going to happen next. And while Matt is downstairs trying to get started turning their RV into a time machine, Jay is upstairs and he gets out his phone and he secretly calls a venue in Ottawa.
I was thinking about coming to play the open mic.
Because he wants to start pursuing a solo career. There's also this great joke where Jay is looking at a whole globe and he's like, where's Ottawa?
Oh, how far away is Ottawa? I'm in Toronto.
And it kind of feels like someone in New York City being like, where's Philadelphia? Where is that place? Meanwhile, downstairs, Matt is showing Jared and the film crew around his new, like, decked out RV. But then he spills his bottle of Orbits on the equipment and it catches on fire and it's this big mess. And it truly kind of feels like nothing's going to go right for these guys tonight. And I think he feels like a failure and he climbs into the bed of the RV to pout, I guess. Anyway, the next morning, Jay gets into the RV and he drives off for Ottawa. And it's great. He's got this like huge paper map with a line and a big circle around Ottawa. But he's unaware that Matt is asleep in the back seat. And, you know, I guess he fell asleep in the way back after he was pouting about his time machine breaking down. As Jay pulls on to the highway and he's picking up speed, and you get an insert shot of the speedometer as it's getting closer to 88 kilometers per hour, not miles per hour, because we're in Canada.
I'm being kidnapped. I needed to just take it.
Okay, hold on. Just tell me what's going on.
And there's a flash of light, and oh my gosh, boom! The time machine somehow worked, and they have been transported to 2008, which is the time the time machine was set for reasons I'm not sure. They are in 2008. It takes them like a while to understand what has happened. Obviously, it would take me a while to understand what had happened as well. There's some like amazing visual jokes and like old ads and stuff. I think there's like a Dark Knight ad and a BlackBerry ad, of course. This is Matt Johnson after all.
Matt?
Yes.
It's 2008.
I told you!
A car goes by and it's playing that Black Eyed Peas song, Let's Get It Started. Except it's not the Let's Get It Started lyrics. Anyway. But the best part of this whole 2008 sequence is they go see a movie, ? They go see a movie and it's The Hangover Part 1 that's playing. And there's that stupid joke at the beginning of that movie where they say, paging Dr. F. Slur, that line happens. And everyone in the theater laughs and laughs.
Paging Dr.
And that's when Matt realizes, oh my God, it is 2008. Oh my God, what a stupid, perfect joke. No notes. No notes from me on that joke. And I always have notes. That's incredible. They realize that what made the time machine work is Matt spilling the Orbits on the time machine. But that was their last bottle. So how do they go back to the future? And now we're getting into what is truly one of the most structurally impressive sequences I've ever seen in a movie. They realize it was their last bottle in 2025. It wasn't their last bottle in 2008. So they know what they have to do. They have to break into their old apartment and steal a bottle of Orbits from their younger selves. Perfect plan. Another perfect plan. But as two guys steeped in media, they know that they can't change anything because they risk totally changing the future.
This will be a new 2025 if we change anything here.
What do you, whoa.
It was an Ashton Kutcher movie. Butterfly Effect.
So they're going to be really careful. They're not going to talk to their younger selves. They're going to be super duper chill, and they're going to go steal a bottle of Orbit so they can get back to the future. There's this amazing, I love this joke so much. There's an amazing like fourth wall moment where Matt points out that they can't be out in the world in 2008 with their cameras because they have these new fancy cameras and they're going to look like spacemen to people from 2008.
So this whole 2008 sequence, which would be very hard to fake if this were not really 2008, will not be filmed.
So he's like, so you know, we're this whole 2008 part is not going to be filmed. We'll be back with the Orbits kind of vibe. And I love this idea that Matt Johnson, the director, is maybe like trying to get out of doing something that would be difficult to direct and just putting it into dialogue of Matt Johnson, the character. I find that so charming. But then someone in the crew points out like, oh, they can just use the old camera. There's like an old camera in the RV from 2008 that they can just use. And this is a beautiful little comedy moment, but it's also setting up something bigger. And this is where so many viewers, including myself, said, oh my God, how did they do this? And it's not jumping off the CN Tower, but it's something that is way harder to pull off and probably took an endless amount of days and nights in the editing bay. The film cuts together footage they're shooting now, supposedly like with the old camera so that it looks like footage that they're also cutting in from 2008 from their old web show.
See the guy down there?
That guy looks like me.
It's got your hat.
That's us. That's us.
It's a crazy choice, and it is somehow perfect. It's so smart. It's so funny. It must have taken forever, but because they're using the old cameras for plot reasons, the old footage and the new footage blends in perfectly, and it probably took so much work. Do you remember that Richard Linklater movie Boyhood that came out? It was filmed over the course of like 12 years. I want to say 2002 to like 2014-ish. But it was filmed over the span of over a decade so that you could watch the actors actually age as the characters aged. Yeah, they basically did a Boyhood in reverse, where instead of planning a story to be filmed over the course of many, many years, they did it backwards, where they were like, okay, we have this footage from 17 years ago. What can we do that we can cut this in with to tell a cohesive story in a scene? I'm sure they combed through a million old hard drives to find these tiny moments that work. And it's not only coherent, it is just brilliant. Truly, this is something else. There's one point where they're like trying to sneak, but they end up obviously confronted with their old selves. And Jay is like half asleep and he's like, what's going on? And Matt is like, I'm from the future.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm visiting you in your dream to bring you this idea for a song to play with the band. And I'm a spirit, and I am a Dickensian spirit.
They are kind of confronted with this 20-year friendship that they've had as they're talking to their old selves, and they're feeling really kind of connected to each other. It's beautiful. And we get this, my favorite line in the movie, we get this great little moment where young Jay is talking about how he's kind of scared to grow up.
It's pretty real stuff, you know? Getting old is not looking forward to it.
You know, the truth is, if you got a best friend, you won't even notice getting older.
Just so beautiful. It really got me. And after that, older Jay is really kind of touched by that. And he is struck by the fact that he almost just left Matt and left the band. Because that morning, he was planning on going away to Ottawa to pursue a solo career. And so he's confronted with that and he's feeling all these feelings and he apologizes and he tells Matt what he was planning to do, which was a bad idea in this exact moment because Matt has a very emotional reaction to that news.
Okay, but the whole point, though, the whole point. Matt, wait. Hey, where are you going?
And he does what you're never supposed to do in a movie about time travel. He changes the past. He goes over to the whiteboard in the past and he erases the whiteboard and he writes, "Don't play the Rivoli." Trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. You know, in Hero's Journey terms, he's approaching the innermost cave. It's this sort of critical mistake that sets up the entire catastrophe of the story. I'm sure you can guess what might happen. They leave, they pour the orbits over the time machine, they drive off, there's a big flash of light, they hit 88 miles per hour. Matt goes flying through the RV, and he conks his butt, and he conks his head, and he passes out. And when he comes to, he's alone in the RV. Now, in this new timeline that they've created, Jay is a hugely successful solo musician. And his #1 hit song features the melody from that dream moment in the previous scene, Insane. Matt is in total disbelief. He goes home to the apartment that they used to share, and now instead of Jay's piano, it is a drum kit sitting there, and he finds he has a bunch of roommates, and he realizes that, oh my gosh, in this timeline, he is the drummer in a Jay McCarroll cover band.
Why do I have that?
We'll have them.
How did it... I am...
In a Jay McCarroll cover band.
Oh my God. And more than that, Jay McCarroll is actually playing a show tonight, and Matt's roommates managed to get tickets. So a very bewildered Matt goes to see a Jay McCarroll concert. How, you might be wondering, did they film a Jay McCarroll concert? Because that's not a real musician. And yet we have footage of him playing to a crowd of what looks like tens of thousands. And surprisingly, this was one of the more impressive things, but fairly easy actually to pull off, because Jared Rabb, the cameraman and cinematographer, actually directed music videos for this Canadian rock band called the Arkells, and he's friends with the frontman, Max Kerman, and basically he called in a favor. And when the Arkells came to Toronto to do a show at the RBC Amphitheater, Canadians, I looked that up for you, you're welcome. Yeah, Jared calls in a favor. All Max said was, he was like, okay, I need everyone in the crowd to go crazy for my friend Jay here. And everyone did. And Jay plays his song. And that's how you get this amazing footage. So Matt watches Jay perform. He's totally in shock. He watches Jay live this life that the two of them had always dreamed about having together, except Jay is doing it alone. And he can't believe what he's seeing. And they go backstage after the show because they have backstage passes because of reasons. And Matt tries to talk to Jay and is like, oh my God, let's try and go back again and let's find a future where we can both have this and oh my gosh. And Jay is like, what? Huh? And then eventually Jay's like, oh, it's Matt, it's my old roommate.
Guys, you have to meet my old friend, Matt.
What?
And Matt is just heartbroken. Because in this timeline, I guess Jay doesn't, they're not friends. And it's so sad. And a heartbroken Matt runs back to the RV, but when he gets there, he finds that their last bottle of Orbits, all that was left in it is gone. The bottle is smashed and shattered. It's empty. They are stuck in this new timeline. The stakes are so high and it's so sad. And just when this action is at its biggest peak, in a very Orson Welles F for Fake way, the story cuts back to Jay McCarroll in his new life. And we get this amazing montage where Jay has been edited in to like pop culture moments from the past couple decades.
I heard you're scared of clowns.
I'm not afraid of clowns.
But I heard that you were.
I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard.
They even got Anthony Fantano to do like a review of Jay McCarroll's music.
As you guys already know with this track, it is an absolute classic and has sustained Jay McCarroll's career for well over a decade now at this point.
It's great. It's really fun and dumb, and it's very silly. And then we cut back to when Matt and Jay landed back in 2025. And we realize, oh my gosh, while Matt was passed out in the RV, Jay found out he was famous and snuck out.
In Toronto, does Jay McCarroll live on?
416-870-8888. That is the...
So we get to see everything that has happened now, his storyline and his perspective. And we realize that he actually does know Matt, and he's not a different Jay. He just lied at the show in order to preserve his new, famous, big, lovely lifestyle. More than that, he actually managed to go back to the RV and smash the bottle of Orbits. He did that on purpose, cementing this new timeline and ensuring that they can't go back and undo any of this. We see him living his big life for a little bit. It's clearly, I think, Drake's mansion outside of Toronto that is Jay McCarroll's house. I don't know the first thing about Toronto, but I could have told you about Drake's mansion, I guess. And then there's this amazing scene where he gets onto his tour bus with his current bandmates and friends, and they all kind of ignore him. And you realize that, oh no, in this timeline, Jay is kind of an asshole. There's this sad part where he suggests they play N64, which Matt would have loved, but these guys don't really seem interested in doing.
Do we have a 64? I'm sure we got a 64 hooked up.
I think if you brought one, I would play, sure.
And maybe this famous life is actually hollow and unfulfilling. Oh no. And then he gets this idea. He's like trying to connect with these bandmates of his, and he sees a toy gun on the wall. And we flash back to Matt and Jay playing with the toy gun after the skydive thing failed. And so he's trying to connect. He's trying to make friends with these people. He takes the toy gun off the wall and he jokes and he like aims it, like a Nerf gun, and he aims it at one of the bandmates and he pulls the trigger and oh my God, it's a real gun. Pop star and very famous person Jay McCarroll just killed someone.
Breaking news out of Toronto. A shooting has occurred outside the home of Canadian rock star Jay McCarroll.
Talk about a literal Chekhov's gun, folks. The planting, the payoff, amazing. Add this to the list of moments where in the theater, when I saw this for the first time, I was just like, oh my God, amazing. 11 out of 10. Incredible. Who wrote this stupid movie? Let's talk about this for a second. The story with this scene is that there was never originally a plan for anyone to get shot in this movie. This is Canada after all. This is not America. It's not like gun violence is as big a problem up there. But a few years ago, when they were filming this movie, Drake's longtime security guard, do you guys remember this? Drake's security guard was shot and injured outside Drake's house. When that happened, Matt and Jay, the real guys, and the crew heard the news. They hopped in their little cars and they drove to the scene of the crime. This is insane. You can actually see them in the background of some of the news footage. And then some of the footage that they use in the film, like the news coverage, they just I guess they just changed the chyron and it's the real police chief. It's insane. And what a cool lesson. They just saw something newsworthy happening in Toronto and their willingness to say yes is really, really cool. They were flexible and they wrote it into the movie. And if you were wondering, the real guy didn't die. I feel like that's important to say. I want to say his name because that feels important. But the news actually never say his name, or at least I couldn't find it in any of the articles that I was reading. So if you know his name, I guess comment down below. It's kind of weird. But yeah, he went to the hospital. He had, I think, a surgery. He's okay. For those sensitive babies like myself, I'll tell you what, Nirvana, the show, the band, the movie, is lucky that that guy didn't die because that joke would not be funny if a real guy died. Apparently all of this happened during the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, something else I don't know anything about. Comment below if you want to school me on diss tracks. Not really my zone, but hey, I'll learn about it. Whatever. I watched the Super Bowl. I know what football and rap are. Anyway. Okay, so back to the plot. I guess now Jay's on the run from the law, because he killed someone. And you know what he could really use right now? a goddamn time machine. Huh? Wouldn't that be good? So now, as a fugitive, Jay finds Matt. He runs to Matt. He's still claiming to be a different Jay, and he says he's there to apologize for being rude to him after the show the other night. And then just sort of gets Matt talking about the time machine, and he offers to help fix the time machine, secretly only intending to go back a day or two so that he can still be famous, but just, not be a murderer.
And if you wanted to, you could go
anywhere.
Go 2 days ago.
2 days ago? Why would you go back? What do you mean, why'd you go back?
I spilled some wine on my pants.
And so now they're back to where we've seen Matt and Jay 100 times, which is they're trying to figure out a plan. They want to go back into the past. They have different goals as to why and how, but they want to figure out how to work the time machine again so they can undo the mess that they're in. What do? Right? They have the RV, they have the time machine, but they're out of orbits. And so they're trying to come up with the plan.
The only problem is I don't have fuel. There's no fuel.
Well, what and why orbits?
And then Jay remembers the slogan for orbits.
A bolt of lightning is no. What does it say?
A what? What?
That's just the tagline that it says on it. A bolt of lightning in every bottle.
A bolt of lightning in every bottle.
Maybe it's that bolt of lightning that made the time machine work.
No, that's just like marketing.
Yeah, but what if it's not?
But it can't be in a liquid bottle.
How do we know? But 2 days ago, time travel wasn't real. And then I pour a juice on it and it works.
Now, if you have a follow-up question about this, we're not going to be taking questions at this time, okay? Just go for it. But then Matt remembers that the lightning struck the CN Tower that night, remember? After the skydive plan failed?
Oh, I know when lightning's going to hit the CN Tower.
And that's happening tonight in this timeline. So they know that a real lightning's going to strike. They can just channel that, and yes, bam, literally, they're just doing Back to the Future now.
Great Scott!
This is really all coming together.
Right.
This is just like Back to the Future. This is insane.
Cut to Matt and Jay walking towards the CN Tower with a giant rope and a giant electrical cable. And again, this is where I'm like, are there any laws in Canada?
It's just, well, this is actually kind of hard to explain.
And we're building up towards the climax. Matt climbs to the top of the CN Tower, he throws the rope, and so Jay connects the rope to the electrical wire, he pulls it up to the top. It's all ridiculous. And then we get this really fun sequence of them with the wheelbarrow, rolling the electrical cable out. It's very silly. There's a lot of fun interactions with civilians in this scene, just like pedestrians bopping around, trying to figure out what these two guys are up to. There's a couple moments where the cops are like, what are you doing? But no one's stopping them from doing anything. And the tensions are high and getting higher as the time for the lightning strike gets closer and closer and closer. There's a moment where it comes unplugged and Matt has to run back to the CN Tower and they have to make sure it's plugged in, and they got this lightning rod thing on the top of the RV so they can channel it. Yeah, it's you've seen Back to the Future. It's Back to the Future. Also, Jay is still actively wanted for murder. Don't forget that. That's really important here. And he's trying to hide from the public while this is going on. And it's all chaos. The whole sequence reminds me of some advice that Phoebe Waller-Bridge gave. But she's famously quoted as saying that there should be at least 3 things going on in a scene at one time, because that's what real life is like. There's always a lot happening. And so they're trying to get the time machine to work. They're trying to not get caught. Jay's trying to avoid getting recognized. They're trying to time travel. There's a lot going on. And that keeps it fun and keeps it edgy. Again, we're talking about tension. We're building up tension to this climax. And at one moment, Matt has managed to reconnect the cable to the top of the CN Tower. But here's the problem. He's been spotted up there this time. And so there's a helicopter and there's a news crew. And it might be, the end for our boys. And Jay is watching the footage from, an outdoor bar. And what are they going to do? And oh my God. And then, oh my gosh, Matt jumps off the CN Tower. And oh my God, he's got his damn parachute from Act 1 on. And there's this great swell of the music, and it's this beautiful moment, and he parachutes down. He actually lands on a trolley bus. I think it's just like a bus in Toronto. And I read that they were really nervous about filming that. It was one of the more difficult things that they filmed, believe it or not. Because you can't like stomp around on top of a city bus, even in Canada, it turns out.
Shit.
They actually filmed this part while Taylor Swift was performing the Eras Tour in Toronto, because they figured that's where all the cops are going to be. They're all going to be downtown at the Eras Tour, because all cops are Swifties, right? And so they'd probably be less likely to be stopped while clomping around on top of a bus. Kind of smart, right? Anyway, Jay's in the RV. He's ready to drive and ready to get the time machine up to 88 kilometers per hour, not miles per hour. Matt is plugging the cable. He's got it to the CN Tower. The other end is going into like an outlet on like a street corner. Jay has the time machine destination set to just 2 days before the current time so that he can undo the murder. But Matt thinks that they're going back to 2008 to undo the timeline. So there's still this sort of tension there. But oh no, now the cable's too short and Matt can't plug it the other end into the cable box. Guys, what's gonna happen? There's so much tension. And then a newspaper blows in the wind and it lands on Matt, and he looks at the front page and oh my gosh, Jay McCarroll, wanted for murder. He doesn't have a lot of time, but he has a lot to process, and he realizes what's been happening, and he realizes what the situation has been for Jay, and he has seconds to make a decision before the lightning strikes, and they either miss it or he manages to make the time machine work. And he's trying to figure it out. The cable is still too short. He reaches into his back pocket and he's got the pliers from the beginning of the movie. And he makes a decision to sacrifice himself. He uses himself as the conductor and he jams the pliers into the plug. And this is your most literal hero's journey moment thus far. Talk about a resurrection. This is where the hero dies in order to be reborn for the plot, for the climax. It's so exciting. He's willing to die. He's willing to sacrifice himself for Jay. And he doesn't really care. He loves his friend and he is willing to die so that the story can be fixed and these wrongs can be righted. It's beautiful. And wouldn't you know it, as Jay gets closer to the spot driving in the RV, he sees Matt here. He's waiting for the lightning to strike and he realizes what Matt is doing with the pliers. And in the last moment, he's moved by Matt's sacrifice for him. And he changes the time machine destination back to 2008. So it works. The time machine works. Jay alone in the RV goes back to 2008. He changes the message on the whiteboard after sneaking back into their old apartments, encourages their younger selves to play the Rivoli and to stay together. He has restored the original timeline. And then we get the final scene of the movie where we're back right where we started. Remember, hero's journey, circle. We're back in the present, just like in that very first scene where Matt stomps down the stairs. He has no memory of anything that's happened with the altered timeline. And he once again proposes to Jay the 7th inning skydive plan. And this time, as he's talking through the plan, Jay looks up at him and goes,
You know, maybe we should go early? Just in case the weather gets bad and they shut the dome?
and Matt's like, oh, good idea. Let's do that.
The what? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we don't get caught on the roof of the... Yeah, okay, sure. So we'll go early. Right, go early. Okay.
There you have it, the end. The credits start to play. A bossa nova song starts. And for all you comedy nerds out there, this is the same song that plays at the end of Jerry Seinfeld's old documentary Comedian. This is the bossa nova song you might know. And the credits start to roll, and it's the end, and oh my gosh. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, take a breath. We did it, guys. Whew. How we doing? I'm tired. Okay, we doing good? Cool. Okay. So let's talk about it. Wow. I love this movie so much. Okay. So I think we need to start by talking about having your cake and eating it too. Like I said before, it is so tough to tell a story that satisfies from a like hero's journey perspective that still feels fresh and magical and open, that still feels like anything can happen. There's so much spontaneity and wonder and joy in this movie, and yet they have this like clean, beautiful hero's journey underneath. The wonder and the resonance. Man, they shot this movie for over 200 days with no script, and it is somehow excellent at these two very different things. And honestly, like movies that are planned out ahead of time in sterile, mathy, developmental situations are still like nowhere near as clean as this movie is from a storytelling perspective. It's incredible. The gun, for example, is a great moment of planting and payoff while being flexible enough to take advantage of something that actually happened that day in the city that then they just inserted earlier into the story. And because it was played for a laugh the first time, you don't notice that something's being planted and that you're being given information. It's amazing. It's a literal Chekhov's gun that still manages to surprise. And that's what I'm talking about. This movie is so improvised and so wild, while at the same time being so tight with such a deep understanding of screenwriting. It's textbook execution, guys. And yeah, that's a huge part of what I love about this movie. They are having their cake and eating it too. They get to have all of this wild fun while still telling a clean and amazing, satisfying 3-act story. How do they do it? And the ending, it's not only funny that they're back where they started, it's a perfect mirror, completing the hero's journey. It's amazing. No notes. Hey, ask my authors. I always have notes. Here, no notes. And oh my gosh, there's so much more to say about wonder. Namely, how did they do this? How did they do any of this? The fact that this exists is a marvel. Really, it is. I'm not just talking about the story working, even though the movie is improvised. And I'm not just talking about how the hell did they get a camera in there, or how the hell did they film themselves jumping off the CN Tower, and all the copyright stuff. Like, how did they get away with using so much of Back to the Future?
This is going to be a copyright nightmare. Like if you're watching this in theaters, thank your lucky stars, because this is going to be the only screening of this ever.
I don't know. But this is a huge reason why this movie is proving to be so sticky, because I love that I don't know how they did it. It's a magic trick. It's really a magic trick. You know, in a really interesting way, I think that the production kind of mirrors the theme of this show, this kind of like guerrilla style antics, going every which way and scheming and trying shit. You know, Matt and Jay, the characters, can't just simply write good songs and practice them and try to get a show that way. And in the same vein, Matt and Jay could have sat down and written a simple movie and gone about making it in a simple way that would have been safer and easier. And they didn't. They made this amazing, one-of-a-kind monstrosity. And I'm very grateful for them for doing that. And that's what it's all about, right? It's that heart that like underpins everything. Because yes, the stunts and the jumps and the whatever, but also it's your best friend. And when you have a best friend, you won't even notice getting older. It's their love for each other. And frankly, their love for their city. And now we're back to resonance, you know? Also, shout out to Toronto. Toronto gets to have so much fun in this movie. You know, Canadian cities never get to play themselves. And I love seeing Toronto just be Toronto. It's really nice. You know, this movie has a lot of sincerity. The plot hinges on their love for each other, you know? The way that Matt sacrifices himself and that Jay sacrifices his fame for each other, you know? And real Matt and real Jay aren't their characters, but they are two friends that haven't stopped doing the art that they do together after 20 years. Like, it's really cool. It's about friendship. It's about Toronto. It's about their love for each other. And it's also about failure in the same way that the TV show is about failure. And I love failure. I think failure is incredible. Failure is so beautiful. You know, perhaps this is sort of a certain flavor of Canadian humility, but Matt Johnson seems to be particularly fixated on failure. In his interviews, he talks a lot about Gilgamesh, which is an ancient story about a king who fails to find the immortality that he seeks, but in his failure realizes the love and the beauty of the world that he already has. And I think that story connects with him on a deep level because it seems like the story of his life in some ways, you know? Maybe he isn't making these huge movies that he dreamed of, but he's doing something really incredible with this like world that he has built.
You know, Bjork, the musician Bjork, I mean, obviously, yeah. She's got a great quote about art. The job of an artist is to connect the myths of your ancestors with the future. And that's all that an artist does.
And I see his point. I see a lot of Gilgamesh, but I also see a lot of Sisyphus. These guys, they create these plans because they want to play at the Rivoli. And of course, everything goes wrong, and that boulder rolls back down the hill, but they're happy and they love each other, and they start again and they start rolling it back up the next day. It's amazing. And isn't that what Albert Camus was talking about? Like, isn't that what the human condition is? One must imagine Sisyphus happy. You know, the Camus of it all. Isn't that the absurdity of life? Isn't that what we're all doing here? Sisyphus as a metaphor for the human condition. Like, we can create our own meaning and we can find happiness in the journey itself, in the fleeting nature of our lives, and we'll get up and we'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching this movie. I want to talk a little bit about what we learned today, and then I'll let you guys go. Advice to young filmmakers from the Matt Johnson and Nirvana, the band, the show, school of filmmaking. I think first and foremost, we have to talk about structure. You know, the ancient art of story structure, so it's satisfying. Can you connect with a myth in the way that Matt Johnson connects to Gilgamesh? Is there a larger truth that you're getting at? You know, even if you think you're just making something that's light and fun, that's great. But your story has so much more potential to have resonance if there is some sort of a journey, some sort of an ancient truth, some sort of a transformation within it. The hero's journey has been around for millennia, and I promise you, it is not a cage, it's a map, okay? Like, it's not a cage, it's the truth, okay? Number two, and I think this is an important and overlooked thing here, I want to talk about karma for a second. These guys have worked together for decades. Matt and Jay have been doing this for decades, and you don't swing a decades-long project and steadfast collaborators by being an asshole, okay? You know, you can yield so much like incredible, amazing results if you know how to be part of a team and you know how to work with other people, and you can create a space where people want to keep coming back. That's a real gift. That's really important. This is kind of like Shohei Ohtani coded, but I think people who are really exceptional in their field understand the importance of being a nice person. and having respect for like your industry and your cohort. I think that's really, really key here. Number three, what Hollywood is probably going to do if this movie ends up being remotely successful or moving the needle at all, they're probably going to be like, oh, you know, time travel buddy comedy movies. That's what we're going to learn from Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And of course, we know that's not true. The lesson to learn here is not to do what they did, so to speak, but to learn how to trust your voice in the way that they trust their voice.
You will not stand a chance unless your first feature is made in such a way that that story and you making it is going to be better than if somebody else had your story and $100 million.
Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, I think is made more precious in a post-AI world because I know AI didn't write this movie. And not least of all because it didn't write the script because there is no script. Like, AI can't write a script that doesn't exist, right? And it's amazing how much they're able to do within their own oeuvre. So like what feels like you, you know? Like we were saying with myth, is there something that you relate to that you can speak to that feels honest and earned? Start there. And number 4, like last but not least, don't be afraid to break the rules a little bit. Matt Johnson loves to break the rules. He talks about in film school, he was told not to do like a whole list of things not to do. And that's kind of exactly what he did. You know, we were saying that the hero's journey is a map. Breaking the rules is a map too. Okay, I think I've been talking for long enough. It was nice to see you again. It's been a minute, huh? Thank you so much for watching. This has really been a blast. I could talk for many, many hours about this. But yeah, where does this leave us? Well, this movie has made, I think, around $4 million on their $2 million budget, which isn't going to change the world probably. But I think it is going to be a pretty instant cult classic, if you ask me. I'm already seeing rep screenings popping up, which is very exciting. They even had a screening at the Rivoli, which is really, really cool. It's got a 98-95 split on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a really good sign. And the Blu-ray DVD is available for pre-order now, so go and buy it. Support cool filmmakers. I really want more movies that feel like this. It makes me so, so happy. You know, apparently there's going to be a bunch of behind-the-scenes features in the DVD Blu-ray release, but frankly, I don't know if I want to watch them. Like, I love this movie so damn much, and I can destroy a making of featurette. I've been watching those as long as there have been DVDs. But there's something about, for this one, I don't know if I want to watch it because I love the magic. Who am I kidding? I'm definitely going to watch it. This was really fun to make. I'm not sure if I want to come back to YouTube in any substantive way. Maybe I will. If there's something you want to hear me talk about, comment down below and I'll see how I'm going and how this feels. I used to make videos really regularly, and then I decided I wanted to try to write a novel. And writing a novel, turns out, is really hard. You can follow me on Substack if you want to read some of my writing. Also, if you want to work with me at all in terms of developmental editing, my website is linked below. Yeah, thank you. Love you. Goodbye.